Build your QMS in SharePoint. This is a final video as part of a series in which I've shown you how to build out the basics of a QMS using SharePoint. This has included every component that's required for a QMS that is for ISO 9001, including a version-controlled document control, training tracker to keep track of your employees' competencies and certificates, non-conformance, NCR, investigations, root causes, corrective actions, and being able to split this out by department, as well as that full audits, where there is views for auditors and auditees, which can show things like non-conformances, as well as risk management that contains a risk register, the mitigation actions, and everything else you need to keep on top of risks. There's also been a supplier management section, where you can keep track of any incoming inspections and performance scorecards, as well as complaints management that are coming from customers, which is driven by our CRM system. And also we have change management, which allows you to control changes through a register and also assess that impact. There are individual links for each of these videos that I've showed you how to build these components in the description below. In this video, I'm going to show you how to tie them all together into a nice summary dashboard that you've just seen there. My name is Dougie Wood, and I'm a Microsoft MVP. I've been building out SharePoint systems like this for businesses all over the world for the past 20 years. So if you could benefit from a system like this, there's a link in the description below to contact me for professional services. So I recently created a series of videos showing you how I created each of these different components that make up a successful QMS system that I typically deploy to customers that I work with, often in the manufacturing industry. Each area has its own thing. So for example, the document control has a SharePoint tag called document control, which basically has a homepage that looks a bit like this, which is going to jump into some of the key areas of our document control, even has some shortcuts for the likes of auditors to speed up their access. We have a documents management system, which basically means that we can upload all of our documents in here. They're all version controlled with both major and minor version numbers. We've got approval system. We've got a review date, so documents will basically be automated and send an email to reviewers automatically, ask them to update the document. Once they do that, they submit it for approval, goes to the approver, gets approved, and then gets marked with the next review date based on the frequency in months. So we have that system already built. We just now need to integrate this into a homepage of a QMS system, which basically ties all of this together. So I'll run you through each of these as we kind of go through what is the solution that we've built as part of the QMS. And then we're going to look at how the best way to integrate that into a QMS homepage so that there's a kind of summary, the kind of key level bits that you want to jump directly into and make the life of the person that's using the QMS system a lot easier. If you've been following the video so far, the QMS site in itself is just a mess. There's just so many different SharePoint lists that are in here, so I need to tidy all of this up so we've got a nice looking homepage that you saw at the beginning. I don't really know fully what this is going to look like. I think at this point it's probably going to have multiple kind of sections, one section for each of the core components of the QMS, and then at the top I think I'm just going to keep it really simple, but as I say, we kind of design a little bit as we go along with this, and we can completely configure this as well. So as I say, a lot of organizations, we deploy QMS systems in SharePoint for them, and every homepage is slightly different. People care about different things. Some want more on the homepage, some people want less. It's completely configurable. So let's just remove this. And I think what I'm going to do is probably just allow to have a bit of a section across the top. And I'm probably going to come back to this, to be fair. I think I'm going to put a flexible section across the top. And then I'm going to come back to it. This is going to be my welcoming area and probably some quick links into some kind of key things that I think people typically want to quickly access. But I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish this piece off at the end. For now, I'm just going to strip back actually all of these different areas. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to create a section per component of the QMS. So all those areas that we saw in that Word document before, I think I want to have a little summary area that we can jump into the key areas. So within this, I'm going to give it a section header. So for example, this will be my document control area. And it might be that we pull out a few kind of popular documents and some key links. So I'm thinking what we're going to do is probably have a 1/3 left, 1/3 right. And we're going to have quick links in here. So we'll just, yeah, this could be quick links or useful links. Or, in fact, to be honest with you, I don't even think I want to have a title on it. I think it's fairly self-explanatory that these are links. So I'm probably going to remove the title. I quite like the button layout. We will play around with the kind of fill of this, whether we have a fill color or not, but it depends on the kind of the color themes that we end up picking. A lot of that I tend to tweak a little bit at the end, so I wouldn't worry too much about that at this point in time. I want to roll up some kind of documents. So I'm going to use a highlighted content web part because my document control is a separate SharePoint site. I'm going to call this popular documents. So this is something that just means that we can easily, quickly get access to the most popular documents. So the source for this is going to be a specific site. It will be my document control site. So you can see it's pulling out all the kind of these documents. Then I'm going to say sort by either most recent. So there's a couple of things you could do. Most recent is just like the most recent documents that are being worked on at this point in time, which might be a good thing, I guess, if you're wanting to quickly get access to some documents. Most viewed is obviously the most popular kind of documents, things that people are in and out of all the time. I'm going to go with this, to be honest, because I find for a quick glance, you'll probably want to quickly jump into specific documents which are the most popular ones rather than the ones that are most recent. But again, totally up to you. I'm going to put in a carousel. Sorry, I mean a film strip, just so you can kind of cycle through those documents. We probably don't need 8, probably 6 is fine. And then we've just got kind of, as I said, the latest kind of, or the most viewed documents here. Then we're going to have some links on the left-hand side. So we obviously want to be able to easily get access to the home page of our document control. So I'm just going to go back a step and I'm just going to basically copy that link here. If you're interested in this system, then we do deploy it at a fixed price to our customers. Get in touch for a free demo using the link in the description below. Yeah. And I'm going to click on add link, paste the link in here. And I'm going to put this as maybe a home page, or you could be home site, or something like that. We probably want some quick access things, so it might be that we want to jump into some of these specific links. I typically think it will probably most likely be things like documents which are close to review, pending approval. Ones which are draft, those ones are probably the most likely things that you're going to need to be able to access quickly. So again, I'm just going to add in some buttons for that. So for now, I don't actually have those views set up just yet. So I'm just going to put a link basically to this own site. So it's not really going to go anywhere just for now, but just to see in theory what this would look like. Just add in a couple more links. I'm always trying to balance as well to make sure that the left-hand side is as aligned as close as possible to the right-hand side. So we probably have, say, a home page here. Then we might have some quick access things. So it's something like pending approval, maybe recently approved, or maybe expired or overdue or something like that. So it's quick and easy to access those documents. As I say, we can change the logos of this section. So it might be, let's see if we got a little house symbol here for a home page, pending approval. Maybe there's like a little timer or a clock or something like that we could use. Yeah, that one looks good. Well, that actually I quite like. Recently approved, so probably looking for like a tick. or approve. I think there might even be like a thumbs up or something like that. Oops. And you can also upload your own. You can upload your own icons if you did want to use your own icons. You don't have to use Microsoft, but as you can see, there's loads in here. There's hundreds, maybe even thousands of different icons. And the good thing about using these is it keeps a level of consistency, so that everything, all the icons look kind of the same. Whereas if you go off and just try and get your own icons, it can look a bit weird because they're different sort of colors or styles and things like that and whatever. So I'm sure there was like a thumbs up symbol somewhere, but I always kind of draw a blank. If you've been watching the series of these QMS builds, I go a little bit blank sometimes when I'm trying to remember what the names of some of these thumbnails are. I feel like something that Microsoft could do better is actually having more the icons, rather than just having one name and that's the only way you can find them. It'd be better actually if there was oh, there it is, there's a little thumbs up. It'd be better if you could type in like that. I wouldn't find that if I typed in like, but it should be like thumbs up, approve, things like that and whatever. Whoa, don't know where that just came from. Click on select. So we then got recently approved, and then we got expired. So this might be like a cross or something like that. Or like a thumbs down or something along those lines. Or caution, danger. Yeah, you see what I mean? It's the search functionality isn't great, but I still really like the look of these. So I end up kind of, yeah, spending a bit of time, a few minutes just looking for an icon. So I like that icon. I think that's pretty cool. It's cool. So we might also change the background color slightly, just so it stands out and it's different from our kind of header. So we've got our document control now, got our home page. Pending. Again, these can be completely configured, changed however you want. My assumption is usually that the QMS homepage is mostly going to be used by kind of quality managers, auditors, people like that, essentially, that want to quickly jump into kind of key areas. So it's not necessarily end users that'll be using this anyway. So it's just key things that they want to quickly access. But now if I click on republish, I've got my document control area and I can jump directly into the home page of my document control if I wanted to. Like so. Cool. So that's our document control piece. The only other thing that I probably would do is I would start building out the hub navigation bar as well, just to make it easier to sort of navigate. So I'm going to put in here, oops, just need to copy the URL, go into the hub navigation. I'm going to put document control, like so, and that will appear across the top then. Then the other thing I'm just going to do is I'm going to go back to my document control site, and under site information, I'm just going to select the QMS as the hub site that it associates to, just so it pulls in any colors that I end up choosing, but also that navigation bar across the top. So I can now quickly, from my document control, quickly jump back into the QMS site if I wanted to as well. Cool, so that's our document control area now sorted. Let's look at the next area that we want to add to our page, which is probably going to be the training and competence management piece. So again, in a previous video, I actually created a SharePoint site called the Training Tracker. Again, this is its own standalone site. And it's got a couple of key areas to it. We have an admin bar, which is only available to the administrators of this SharePoint site, which basically breaks down the kind of core components, which I'll come through to in a second. And we've got training courses. I've yet to put in here any sort of examples of training courses, but these will be links to booking onto training courses, e-learning, things like that. You've got large tiles, which basically, as I say, a lot of the QMSs that we deploy for our customers are typically manufacturing type industry, so a lot of the imagery we align to that. So basically, like the first tile would be just welcoming to the training tracker. Click out to find out more. Maybe there's some training videos about how the training tracker works and what to expect, things like that. Booking onto courses, accessing e-learning, resources which are department specific, as well as my training tracker, which shows all of the items which basically I have training items for. So these are training courses I've previously completed, and these are ones I've not yet started, and I can see where I'm up to from that point of view. I can see upcoming training that I could book onto and any additional resources as well. Now, the way that this works is in the background, we have 3 lists which run this. The first one to know about is a config list, and essentially this is where we deploy all of our kind of training courses, the roles that they apply to, the training type, the training provider, as well as how often they would need to be renewed. Then from there, what we have is we have our employees list. So this is a list of all the kind of employees that we would have, basically that would automate the tracker. So once we add somebody in here, we select them, what role they are, and then the system would automatically go and look up all the training for that specific role and then create an item for them inside of the tracker. So I'm just going to jump into the tracker. So this is obviously the admin view of the tracker to see all the kind of items that are in here, but then you can see it creates an item per employee based on their role. So it adds in the kind of training based on their role. Then we can see the training type, training provider, and the renewal. We can see the status, whether it's not started, in progress, or complete, and where the completion date is. What we then have is once it's then marked as complete, it would look up the renewal frequency, which is in months, and then it would set the next renewal date. What we also have is the renewal date. If it expires, it will turn red, and we have some views where we can see where things have expired, and we can quickly drill into that using these statuses up here. But then also we have things like the assessor. So once something's marked as complete, the assessor would be assigned and say, yep, that this is complete, and the competency level for this as well. So say all of this is built out. We just want to now integrate this into our QMS SharePoint site. So the first thing that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to update this training tracker to inherit the hub site. So I'm going to go on to site information. I'm going to go to the hub site, QMS, click on save, and that's then going to add the QMS hub bar across the top, just to make it easier. So what I'm going to do now is copy the URL on my training tracker, go back to my QMS, and across the top, again, I'm just going to paste in here, training tracker. I might come back and make this into a bit more of a mega menu at the end, but I'm just adding these links up here just to make it easy to access. So now I can jump from my training tracker, which once I refresh, it should pull through onto this navigation bar. There we go, training tracker. And then I can jump back into my QMS homepage from here. So now I want to create a section underneath this for my training tracker. As I say, a bit of a summary to jump into that. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate this section. And what I might do is just edit this and just swap it around. So we've got the links on the right hand side rather than the left hand side, just so it kind of makes it look a little bit different as we're kind of moving through. So we just obviously need to update this. So this is going to be our training tracker, and actually, we don't really have a lot of documents for the training, but what we do have is we have events on this that I'm going to pull through. So this is going to be, say, upcoming training, and what we're going to do is edit the properties, select the site, and it's the training tracker that we're wanting to pull through from. And it's set to a film strip. It can show up to 20, but I don't think we necessarily need to do that, to be honest. I'm just going to set this to the next 6. Just to sort of help with load, and we don't end up with loads of different ones showing up on here. Show event images, yeah, we want all of that. And then basically what we're going to do is just update things at the home page. So I need to, in fact, let me just check if I've still got, yes, I've still got the link copied. So I'm going to update the home page. Link to our training tracker. And then we need to think about, well, what are these buttons going to be? What are people going to want to quickly access if they're kind of interested in this QMS system? So I think typical things that they would probably likely want to quickly access would be around the sort of status of, so saying every training that's not yet started, every training which is expired, things like that. So let's put this based on status. So not started. So this would actually just be the same. If I go back to the training tracker, this would just be the same view as this. If I just go into here, this is my not started view. So these are the kind of the trainings which have yet to be started. I just need to copy that URL, go back to my QMS homepage, change the link, paste in here, and this is now my not started link. We might want to change the icon. Again, maybe make it time related or something like that. So what do we like? Maybe like stopwatch for now, something like that, just so it's different from above. Then we're going to have basically do the same for each one of these. So we want not started, in progress, completed, and expired. So let's have it in progress. Completed. I'm just going to basically just link to this current view for now. Let's just move this down. Whoops. Change this to expired. Maybe actually that one should be expired, but I'll just move it down because I quite like that. Like so. Maybe we just look for, I think there was like a tick somewhere, so something like that would probably do. Oops, I keep hovering over my news icon. So completed, expired, and then let's have a little look at that. So let's publish that and just see what that looks like. So yeah, I'm not too far off. I think what I might just do is there's a little bit of spacing between here that I just want to fix. So what I think I might just do is add a spacer web part, make that as small as I can do, and just see if that aligns it just a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. So it's aligned it much neater now. Again, I'm just going to change the background color of this section just to break it up so it's something that's a little bit different to above. We don't need to go too nuts with anything, but it just makes it easier to kind of see that these are actually two different things. Document control and training tracker are two different things. Again, if you don't like the fact that the links on one side on one and the other side of the other, it's dead easy to swap them around. It's just, I think it just visually just breaks it up a little bit on the page. So there we go. We've now got our training tracker now deployed to our QMS homepage as well. And we can cycle through some upcoming training or navigate directly to the homepage of our training tracker as well. So what's next on the list? So the next thing we're going to look at is building out the NCR register, and I'm also going to put the investigation log and root cause with the NCR section as well. I'm going to keep the corrective action, preventative actions separately because I think there's probably going to be some other kind of things that we want to break down for that, because there's a few other things which link into the corrective preventive actions, such as the risk register, complaint management, and things like that. So the next section we're going to say is the NCR register, and I'm also going to include into this the investigation log and root cause analysis piece as well. So let's edit our homepage, and we're going to create a new section. So it's probably going to be a similar section to this. Let's just duplicate this and drag it down. And again, if you don't like the order that these sections are in, you can see it's just so easy just to drag and drop them around. So if you wanted to have your NCR bit at the top and the document control at the bottom, totally up to you. Just drag and drop it. It's dead easy to do. So let's call this our NCR register. For now, I'm not too sure what I'm going to populate that with, so I can have a little think. I'm going to change this. So I'm going to link to NCR register. So I'm actually just going to duplicate. In fact, wait. Let me publish this, and I'm going to jump into our NCR register. Again, we had a video building this out, but essentially we've got a SharePoint list which has got IDs for each of the sort of things that the non-conformances that we are registering. Here's the form we kind of fill out, and that then gives us this as a list that we can then track through different statuses. Severities can often drive things like automations of escalation points. If it's more higher severity, then we're probably going to escalate this quicker. We've also got the status to say whether it's open or closed. Cool. So then what I think we should probably do, I don't think necessarily we need to have a summary of the kind of the NCRs on the page, because I don't think that's a very easy way of navigating them anyway, to be totally honest with you. So it's probably just going to come down to just being some tiles of kind of information. So I think we'll probably have some links for the NCR register, and we'll probably have some links for the investigation log that goes along with it. So I'm just going to jump back to the home page now. And underneath this, we probably want to maybe change this layout to be 2 columns, maybe? No. Maybe 3 columns. We'll duplicate this. And I think we are going to need to have the title for these appearing, so it's easier for us to kind of see what's going on here. So this would be our NCR register. This would be our investigation and root cause in here. So we obviously need to link to this. So this is the main kind of link. So this would be all, and change this link. So this would be all kind of non-conformances that have been raised. Again, I'm not going to mess around too much, I think, with the icons at this point. So maybe just change that like that. Then we also need to link to the investigation log. So investigation log, once you raise an NCR, you can basically create an investigation record, which you can link to the NCR based on the ID. You then got things like investigation lead, the root cause category, investigation method, root cause, description, date completed, and any attachments that go along with this. This is all stored in this place. And again, it's all linked back to that NCR record as well. So I'm just going to link this now back to here. And this is going to be our basically all the investigations that we had. So it might be use like a little search thing, and then we probably just want to have some like links to some quick views that we might want to find. So for example, if I go back into NCR register, we might want to see everything based on severity. So we might want to see things which are, so we've got a couple of things in here. So based on severity, whether it's minor, major, or critical. It might be based on department that we want to look at this. It could be based on product. There's loads of different ways that you might want to quickly get access to this, but I'm thinking we probably want to have, for this, it's probably going to be based on severity and maybe status. So I'm not going to create the views right here and now. I will create them later on and link this up. But let's say for now, this would be critical, major, minor, something along the lines of that. You could obviously change these views so you're only showing any items which are still open. There's no point showing closed, critical, for example. So if you just wanted to quickly jump between the different ones, you can get a quick view of those. Same goes for kind of investigation and root cause. I think also what would be good is to maybe do this based on department as well. So you could quickly jump in and see the NCRs based on each department area as well. So that might be, say, for example, production, maintenance, sales, HR, whatever it is. So you've got your different things in here. For investigations and root cause, so let's just jump back out of here into here. Again, you'd probably want to look at this probably based on, I know we haven't got the kind of status viewed here, but probably based on status of open and closed or root cause categories. I think root cause categories is probably a good one, to be fair, but let's just have a little look at this form. So we've got investigation lead. So you could look at it by investigation lead, I guess. Root cause category, I think that's probably the best one to go for now. So we've got human, machine, method, environment, so I think maybe we create some like buttons based on that for now. Again, you probably only want to show kind of open ones. So you've got all in here. Maybe then we also have, say, based on kind of things. So human fault, or human error, I guess is a better way of putting it. Machine fault, environment, and then material, I think was the other one that we wanted. So let's just put anything in here for now. Oh, come on. Material. There we go. I also want to sort of balance this out. So I like the same amount of links to appear in each kind of area. So maybe let's just add a couple more into here. Again, I'm not going to change all the icons and stuff right now. Maybe we create another one in here for overdue. I'm just linking to anything at the moment, just to create the button. You have to have a link to create the button, but I'll come back and update this later on anyway. So maybe this is overdue. And there we go. So we've now got some different things that we can jump directly into quite quickly as part of our NCR register. All we then need to do is obviously change these icons and publish the page. Okay, just spent a bit of time going through and actually applying some icons which make sense to this now. I also think I want to just change the background up and just make it look a little bit more, because there's nothing moving, there's no imagery and things like that, it's a little bit dull. So I'm going to just change the design. I've got this nice little preloaded background that I'm going to use, which I think adds quite a nice sort of transition. It makes it look a bit more engaging, a little bit better. Now, what I'm also thinking is that this area might make sense to have the corrective and preventative actions within that, because, to be honest, I think that it's it doesn't really need its own space. Some people do like to break out and give it more, but I think that there's only a handful of links that we really need to do to get to the corrective action space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this departments area, and I'm thinking what I might do, in fact, actually, rather than doing that way, I might see how it looks to duplicate this area. That's not going to work. Unless I make it a non-collapsible section. I'm wondering if I can get this departments to sit nicely underneath in some way. Let's have a little look, see what this looks like. Maybe make these grid or compact. Tiles maybe. So let me just republish that and see what that looks like. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think maybe we would obviously add all the other departments under here so we can kind of fill this space out. And then I'm going to change this from being, rather than being department, I'm going to make this my corrective and preventative actions area. Corrective, preventative, oops. Cool. So that's going to be the area I'm going to use in a second. I'm just going to jump into my corrective and preventive actions area just to show you what this is. Now, if you imagine you originally raised, there's multiple ways that corrective and preventive actions can get into this system. It could be that it's gone for an audit. I'm going to talk about audits afterwards. It could be that it's gone for an audit, a non-conformance has been raised in the audit, and after the non-conformance, there is an investigation. After the investigation, there's some corrective or preventive actions which come from that. They could also potentially come from like a customer complaint, so they get entered into here. So there's a few different ways. It could be that it comes from an audit. It could be that it's just raised anyway, without even the kind of the full audit. It could be that it's raised by a customer complaint. So there's multiple ways that you could get into here. But essentially, the corrective and preventative action would have a title. You can tag it with an audit item if it has one, an NCR, which it should do, an investigation ID, which it should do, the action description, the action type, who it's assigned to, the target date and the status. Also who it's then been verified by. If it was raised as a complaint by a customer, it will have a complaint ID, and we'll look at the complaint management piece later on, and also the customer that raised it as well, so we can tag all that information against it. So I think, although there's multiple ways that we can look at this information, I think that there's only really a handful of things that we probably, I'm just going to grab the link from here. Just go back a stage, go back to the home page. Just need to be in edit mode. So there's multiple things that we could look at, but I think mostly what it's going to boil down to is we'll need like an all corrective preventive actions. So I'm going to change this link, and this would be our all actions view. All actions. Then I think that we're probably most likely going to want to see actions which have come from audits. We probably want to see actions which have come from complaints. And then we probably want to split by corrective actions versus preventative actions as well. So we can quickly jump into those different actions based on that. What I think I'm going to do now is just pause the video whilst I just change the icons on this. I'm also just going to add in the rest of the departments that we typically see as well as part of this, just to fill out this section, just so we've got all of this nicely in one place. So there we go, we've updated our icons now just to make them different, and we've also added all of our departments down here as well, so we can jump into the non-conformances. We'll change out this non-conformance and actions. Non-conformance non-conformances and actions. So we've got NCR register, we've got investigation and root causes, we've got corrective and preventative actions, and we've also broken it down. So we've got our kind of non-conformances based on department areas as well. So if we publish that, we can have a little look at what that looks like. There we go. And that's what that looks like when it loads up. So that looks really nice now, I think. It's got a lot of links, obviously, but you would find your way around that. You might not necessarily need all those links, to be totally honest. You might be able to sort of cut this down a little bit more on your own screen anyway. What I have seen people do as well is maybe they add a button across the bottom which jumps you directly into the new form, so a new NCR, a new investigation, a new corrective or preventative action that you're raising. And that's another thing that you could potentially do. That would be really simple. So all you'd need to do is add in, let's say, a button down here. You just need to grab the link to the form, obviously. I would probably maybe try and align this to the right-hand side. Might look better. Something like this. Obviously, you would paste in the link here of the form that you wanted it to open to. So we've got a new option here. I wonder what that would look like above. No, I think maybe let's try it across the bottom. Duplicate that a couple of times because obviously we would have the new buttons for each of these different things. Click on republish, see what that looks like. There we go. So if you wanted to have something new, you just click on the new buttons and you can raise a new NCR, new investigation, new corrective action directly from all of that as well. So the next section we're going to add underneath this is going to be related to audits. So just to give you a bit of an idea about how the audits work, it's actually based on two SharePoint lists. Now, essentially, we have a configuration audit list. So if I just look up, so we've got a live audits list, but we also have our audit config. So basically what this means is that you can build out your audit items ahead of time. Say you're going to do an annual audit in 2026. Maybe the back end of 2025, you would start planning that audit. You can put an audit reference, the clause that particular line item is going to be looking at, the system, the documents that need to actually be audited as part of it, the plan dates, the status, who the auditor will be and who the auditee will be. And then you actually have the live audits itself. So this is actually the live sort of log of the audits which are taking place. So we have all those same fields, plus also what the finding type was, the finding description, and the severity. And obviously all of this can drive the kind of the automated workflows which send chasers, reminders, notifications based on kind of like the findings that have taken place during that audit. So if you go back into the home screen now, scroll down, we're going to create a new area for our audits. So probably going to be, maybe let's just duplicate this one for now. I like duplicating because it just speeds up the kind of process of creating a section. We don't have to even use any of the components of it if we don't want to. There we go. So we add that in here. So this is going to be our audits. And essentially, I think the main things that we probably want to include, so I think what we'd probably want to include on the right-hand side would be maybe open audit items which have found a non-conformance. Is probably a good thing to do. Basically show recent non-conformances that have come from audits. So it's a quick way of jumping into it. Obviously we want to easily be able to access all audits. So what we'll do is we'll just go grab our live audits in here. We'll go back into here. So I think what we need is all audits. Oops. And again, I'll do the icons later on. I think we need all audits. I think we probably need some quick action type things on where, say, I am the auditor. So by clicking on that, that would take you to a view where you are filtered by, so this is, say, I am the auditor. So save view as auditor. And then I'm going to copy that, go back into my page, change that link. So that's now where I am the auditor. Same goes for maybe I am auditee. So you can quickly find those items as well. I also think it's probably worth having, audit config, or it could be something like plan an audit, and that takes you through to that audit config list. So let's just go and grab a link to that. Audit config. So let's just jump back into here, change this, like so. And then, as I say, I'm going to drop this, and what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to add in a list, and I would probably think the typical things most people ask us to see summaries of is open or non-conformances. So you can either say all open audits, which is quite a lot to see in a summary view. You could always go into that. But as a quick glance, you probably want to see the live audits which are found non-conformances. So what I'm going to do is just jump back into our live audits. I'm going to create a view. So basically finding type is equal to non-conformances, and there we go. So I don't think we necessarily need to see all these fields either. So I'm just going to say this is our non-conformance summary view. So we probably want to know the audit and the clause, maybe the system. We probably don't need to know the documents. To be fair, at a glance, we will always be able to drill into this, by the way. We probably want the actual date. We won't need the status because we're only going to show open ones. We probably don't need the finding type because we know it's going to be non-conformance, but we might want the severity. So let's just see. There we go. That probably is fine for now. That probably is fine. So let's just jump back to our view here. We're going to change. I might just need to republish this page and refresh, to be fair, for the view to pick up. So I'm just going to refresh the page, put it into edit mode, scroll down, and then come here. So this is where I'm then going to change the view to be my non-conformance summary view. And I might run out of space. So I'm going to put something like open non-conformances. Or live audit non-conformances. I think open makes sense. Open audit non-conformances, just so it's clear what those are. I don't think we need to necessarily see the command bar or the see all button from here. Just make it a little bit shorter. I'm just going to republish the page just to see how much space I actually have and what fields we might need to drop. Yeah, so probably can bring that in a bit. We probably don't need the auditor or the auditee. To be fair, we can probably drop them. So let's just jump back to this. We'll hide these fields. Oops. I do want to know the severity, to be fair. That is important. We'll probably bring this in a little bit. Save the view. Then we go back into here. Let's refresh and just see if we can squeeze it all onto page. I don't really like scroll bars, to be honest with you. I don't really like when there's a scroll bar. So if I can do anything I can to avoid, I mean, obviously I can't get rid of that, but at a glance, I don't have to scroll to see the key important information that I want to see here. So I can see the open kind of non-conformances. And say, for example, if one was added to that, so if I just go back into, say, all items, and we were to say, change this one, let's just edit this one. Let's say that this is actually now in progress and finding type was a non-conformance. If that was to be updated, now when I go back into my summary of the QMS, we then see that then appears down here quite nicely for me. Cool. So I say that's our kind of auditing area. So if we want to quickly jump into all audits, we can do that. We can jump directly into all audits and see all the live audits. If we wanted to just see where I'm the auditor, I can do that, or I'm the auditee, or if I want to plan an audit. So again, I'm just going to pause the video also change some of these icons up a little bit, and just basically make it a little bit more pretty. And there we go. We've now got our icons there. We've got our open audit non-conformances. And I say you can always drill into these. You can always open it by clicking it. You can see the full form. You can see the full details of it. So all those fields that were hidden from this list view, you can always click on the item just to see the full item as well. So all the information is there, easy to access. So the next section that we're going to create is going to be our risk management section. So again, I'm just going to go into edit mode. I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to select a new section, which in this case I think is going to be a 2-column section. We're going to make sure that we can put in here a title, risk management. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in, to start off with, the 2 lists that we have that runs our risk management. So there's 2 things. We have a risk register, and we also have basically a list which says, right, well, what are the actions at the back of this? We also have our basically failure mode list. So I'm actually just going to add all 3 of these lists onto here, and then we'll find the best way just to show this. So we add another list, and it might be that we need to break this off onto another page if it's too big, to be fair. But let's just have a little look. So we've got our ID, title, category fields in here. We've got a date identified, an owner, the risk likelihood, the risk score, existing controls, mitigation, blah, 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 blah. So I think we could maybe create a view which just shows the ID, the title, and the risk score in here. Obviously, we can always jump in to see all. Then we can filter these 2 options. Or maybe what might work better is maybe we put maybe try a 3-column. So let's try 3-column layout, like so. Oops, dear. So basically the risk log, the risk assessment, and the mitigation actions at the back of it. So what we then need to do is we need to create some summary views that we're going to use on these lists. So first off, I'm going to risk register, and I'm going to create a summary view. So save view as, call this summary, and again, what I'm going to do is just hide some of these columns. So I think we need an ID. So whoops, I obviously clicked the wrong thing here. Show hide columns. So we need the ID, we need the title. I don't think we need a category. We need the risk score, and I think that's probably all we really need. I'm hoping we might be able to get this so we could get this all in one space. I don't think we need the status either at this point. Make that as small as possible. Save view as. And then let's just go back to our homepage and see if we can squeeze that into that space. We might not be able to. It might not work quite as I'm hoping here. But let's just have a little look. There we go. So view, summary, apply. Yeah, it's just not quite fitting in. Maybe it might be okay without the risk score. Or we can just leave it there, and if you needed to see it, you could scroll across, I guess. Okay, cool. So let's now have it so these lists are updating based on this. So once you select one of these lists should be updating. Obviously, we need to do a summary view for these as well, but I'm just going to play around with this before I create the summary view to make sure that we can get all this working. Okay, so we want the risk register. So list, column in the FMEA list to filter by the register ID. We want to filter the risk register and the ID there. So hopefully now when we select this, we can then see the FMEA list of items that show us here. So that works fine. Cool. Let's do the same for this. It'll be register ID, risk register ID. So again, when we select on this, it'll filter and show us the mitigation actions per risk register item as well. So let's I'm wondering whether we just give it more space and we just stack it on top of each other, to be honest, just so we could see more information. But let's publish this for now, and we'll take a little look at what the summary view will need to be. So let's jump back into this list and create a bit of a summary view. Save view as summary. So I don't think we need the register ID because we're basically going to be filtering by that already. Probably in the title, probably don't need any other kind of information because we would open that to see all of that information. Probably the status we would want to have, and maybe the risk priority number, something like that. Or maybe we don't even necessarily need that. Save view, and then let's just go back to our home page. Go back into edit mode, and down here we're going to change this now to be our summary view. Again, we'll just run out of space quite badly here. I'm wondering what we might do is, let's change this to 2 columns and maybe stack these 2 on top of each other. And that might just give us a little bit more space to work with. Cool. I think we probably do want to show the command bars on these. Cool. So we've got our summary view for that. We want to create our summary view now for the risk mitigation actions as well. So again, save view as summary. And what we're going to do here is then we're going to, we don't need the risk register ID. Don't need that. We do need the title, don't need the description. Maybe the priority. I don't know. Or just status, just so we can see at a high level what is going on. Make all that as short as we can. Let's go back to our home page. So we're going to jiggle it around a little bit, see what's going on. Edit the page, scroll down a bit, and we need to set this to a summary view. So we can see it like that. Cool. Right. Okay. Maybe put that underneath. Okay. I'm wondering whether it's worth us trying a flexible layout and see how that plays ball in terms of laying this out. So flexible layouts, you can basically move them around quite a bit so fit whatever it is that you need it to fit. So maybe we could try and duplicate some of this. I usually like flexible layouts are really good, but I like to try, if I can as possible, do it just using the normal layouts because it's just easier to drag and drop. I tend to find then also for my customers who, if they wanted to make any alterations to this type of stuff themselves, they can sometimes get in a bit of a mess with flexible layouts. But here we go. Right, so let's put this up here. Again, let's just make this as wide as we can get it. And there we go. So now, hopefully, with a little bit of luck, this will have retained, yeah, it's filtering. It also means we've got more space here now. So we've got more space for this. Let's call this our risk management. And I think we can just bin this off now. We can just get rid of that section. We've got our flexible section now. I'm just going to shorten that a little bit just to give a little bit of room between the two. And also maybe drag these down just a little bit, again, just to put a little bit of space between it. Maybe also when we've got multiple sections like this, it's sometimes worth having a slightly different colored design just so you can see where the boxes sit. So it's easier to kind of visually think, okay, cool. Well, this box is different to this box, and that sort of stuff. I'm also missing, for some reason, the command bar for this. There we go. So obviously that's made it a bit bigger again, so I just need to drag that down a bit just to give it a little bit of breathing room. We don't like things too crowded. Cool. That summary view then of this, obviously we've got way more space now. Even when I select this, so when I select this now, by the way, if, say, for example, I wanted to see the risk mitigation actions, I can see the kind of the FMEA list. I can just click into the item and it will just show me the full detail. So I don't need to see the full details on the page. However, if I'm going to use this space, I might as well. Also, I need the see all button back. I don't know why this keeps losing it. Maybe I turned it off myself. There we go. I'm going to use a bit more of this space. It seems silly just to have all that kind of as blank space. I mean, I could have quick links here if I really wanted to. I could use that space and fill it with whatever I like, but yeah, do you know what? I'm going to do that because I think that it's worth just showing that can be done in that kind of way. So what I'm going to do is maybe just duplicate this for now and drag this down here. Ooh. Put it up here. Maybe just move it a scooch down just so it aligns with things. But again, you might want to have some slightly different things in here. So we might want to have, say, for example, view all risks. Maybe customer risks, anything that's been raised by kind of like a customer. Maybe it's escalate a risk. Maybe there's something that you need to kind of escalate, and this could take you through to like a page or a form, which you can raise your concerns with. What else we might do? Maybe risk training. So this could be like videos, quite often, as I say, when we hand over these types of systems to our customers, we often provide videos on how all these systems and things like that work. So it would obviously make sense to maybe link to, say, risk training videos in here, escalate a risk. Maybe this is like a speakerphone or some shouting or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Customer risk. We can put in here maybe team or something, just find people. Something like that. So you can then see, I just wanted to sort of show that we can have links that's built to the side of this as well. So as part of that kind of risk management piece, you might want to see all the risks. You might want to see the customer risks, related risks. You might want to escalate risks. There's a bunch of ways that we can do all those different things. Maybe make those buttons. Oh no. Let's just move that across over here. Say something like that. Cool. So we've then got our risk management section all sorted. If you're interested in this system, then we do deploy it at a fixed price to our customers. Get in touch for a free demo using the link in the description below. So the next thing we're going to look at as part of the QMS is building out the supplier management area, or a summary, I should say, of that onto the homepage. So we've already built this supplier management in a separate video, where basically it's built into 3 core components. At the very top of this page, we have the suppliers list. So if we were adding a new supplier, this is the form that would fill out supplier name, contact name, primary phone, things like that, primary email address of the supplier, and that sort of thing. We then have the supplier performance scorecard. Now, quite often, this is done at all sorts of different times, but it might be that you're doing it monthly. It could be per kind of project or service or whatever it is as an order that you're getting through from that supplier. Again, we can just add a new item into here. We can set we can put a title, select who the supplier is from this drop down here, which is pulling from the supplier list above. We can say the report date, whether we're on time, quality defects, compliance issues, rating overall. And then at the bottom, we have our supplier incoming inspection, which again is just a form that we can kind of fill out and see anything in here. Now, what I think what we would probably want to see as part of our kind of summary on our homepage is probably just the kind of any potential issues. So for example, I'm thinking that we want to be able to navigate to this page, see the full details. We also want to be able to navigate, I'm thinking we probably have a summary of kind of all the kind of the low scores. So display any low performing suppliers, as well as any low supplier incoming inspections as well. So if there's any failures of the incoming inspections, we want to display them easily as well. So let's jump back onto our homepage. And what we'll do is we will create a new section for supplier management. Again, this is just a summary, just as part of the QMS homepage that we can quickly see key insights at a glance, almost treating this like a bit of a, not just navigation, but a bit of a dashboard as well. So maybe let's just duplicate this section. And what we will do is, I'm actually just going to remove everything for now. Other than one list. So this is going to be our supplier management section. I'm going to just change the list that this is actually looking at to our, let me just remind myself what it was called, supplier performance scorecard. So, whoops, supplier performance scorecard. And click on apply, and that will then pull that through. So obviously we don't need every single field which is in here. I'm actually just going to move this across and publish the page. We're going to create a summary view, and as I say, we only want to see the negative ones, so any that are kind of got that low rating. So what I'm going to do is say save you as summary low rating. So this is going to be pulled onto the home page. So we're going to filter by and only look at the ones which have got a low rating. Save the view. We're then also just going to remove some of these fields that we don't need. Let's maybe show and hide some columns. So we do need to know the supplier, but we don't need to know all the contact information. The report date is probably quite useful. And then we can have something like this. So we can then see who the supplier is, the report date, and the rating. So we're happy with all of that. Let's just make sure the columns are as tight together as we can get them within reason, because it just saves us space when we get it onto the home page. Cool. So now let's take ourselves back to the home page. Let's edit this. Let's scroll down, and then under Supplier Management. So now we're going to change this view to be our summary low rating. So what I'm going to change this to is low performance scorecards. Like that. Again, we can just maybe bring this in a little bit. Don't want to cut anything off too much if we can help it. And then bring this over onto this side maybe. Let's just publish it and just see what it looks like. Cool. Again, all you need to do is basically you can select the item. Whoops. Double click now, it's opened up into the full page. Hang on. Let's go back. I say all we need to do is click on the item, and essentially what that will do is open up. Actually, this is by clicking the supplier name, it's opening up the supplier record. If you actually click the item itself, I need to refresh now. I've pressed back too many times. So you click the item itself. So you double click. You can then see why they got a low rating. So you can see those compliance issues, and basically that was the main reason why it's compliance issues. Obviously, there might be some notes in here, some comments to explain why there was compliance issues. So there was issues because of X, Y, Z. And then there's our low performance scorecards. We probably want to do something similar as well for the other piece. So what we'll do is we'll just duplicate that web part, move it over, and we need to change the list now. So we're going to change this to be our supplier incoming inspections. Click on apply. Now this will obviously, it's going to be quite big. We need to create a summary view. So again, we'll republish the page. I'm going to go to see all, and we're going to create a summary view. So summary view of where it's failed basically. So save view as summary, and then we'll put failed, or just fail for now. And again, we don't need all of this, so we're going to choose to hide some of these fields. We're going to, I think we need to know the supplier, probably not necessarily the product, probably the receive date. The result is that it's a fail, and that's probably all we need, to be honest, for now. So let's put like that, and we will save that view. Now let's go back to the home page. Let's edit that home page. Let's scroll back down to all these sections, and we're going to change the view. So we're going to change the view by selecting it here, summary fail, and there we go. So let's just expand that out a little bit, so make sure it's got plenty of room. Failed incoming inspections. Oh, why is that? That's not... I know why. I've forgotten a step. So I need to go back to my summary view because I've not filtered it. I've not filtered it by failed only. So I need to go back into my summary view, filter by fail, save the view, and then go back to my home page, scroll down, and there we go. We can see a failed incoming inspection. So we will probably want to add some quick links onto here as well. So let's add in a quick links web part. Again, it's always quicker, I think, to duplicate than it is to create brand new. So let's just drag this down here, move this across. Yeah, that looks about right. Maybe make this one a little bit shorter so it doesn't look so bad in comparison. There we go. So we probably want to have some new buttons in here. So for example, we might have create new supplier, or maybe we just say new supplier. New supplier, something like that. We probably want to have new or view all or all suppliers. Maybe supplier training, so videos related to how this piece works. Maybe some supplier maybe some SOPs related to suppliers, things like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change the icons. I might even just add a couple more items into that failed inspection list just to pad it out a little bit and just make this look a little bit prettier. So I'm just going to pause the video whilst I do that. So there we go. The other thing I'll probably just want to do is just make sure that we've got the ability to add new incoming inspections and also being able to add new performance scorecards. So we probably just want to make sure that that is enabled. I don't know why that's not showing up, or whether that's, I don't have enough room for that, I don't know. I'll have a little play around with that in a second. The other thing is just the background. We just want to change the background up a little bit, just so yeah, it sort of stands out and it's a little bit different to all the other bits above. So publish that, and there we go. We've now got our supplier management section sorted out as well. The next section that we're going to add to our QMS homepage is going to be around complaint management. So in previous videos, you will have seen that I built out actually to manage this properly, like a little CRM system. Now the CRM system wasn't just built for complaints. It was basically just try and provide a little background system which would document accounts in the companies, contacts for those accounts, the orders which went against those accounts, just at a very high level, simplistic information. We also, because we then had a CRM system, we might as well log things like activities against that account, as well as any tasks which maybe come out of that account. And then at the bottom, we can then see complaints that have come from that account, from that company, and the respective corrective actions that go along with that. Now, we've applied some filters in this. So say, for example, if I was to select on green tech, it would then filter everything down just to show me the contacts for green tech, the orders that green tech have submitted, any activities, so phone calls that we've recently made to them, as well as any follow-up tasks and things like that that we need to complete,
any complaints that they've raised and when they've raised them. In terms of the actual complaints, of course, there's more fields behind this form, so I can just select on the complaint and I can see the full description, when it was raised, who raised it, the severity of it, where it's up to in the status, who maybe it's assigned to internally and things like that, any comments that have been put against that particular complaint. We can also see, once we've got that complaint, we can also see the corrective actions. So for example, the complaint relates to gear assembly fitment issues, so a corrective actions we put in place to look at the gear assembly and fix that particular piece. So obviously we don't need all of this on our home page. What I'm thinking is we probably want buttons which are going to take us to this page, and we probably want to be able to do some quick things like go and create a new complaint or something like that. We also, from a QMS point of view, we probably want to quickly surface what open complaints or recent complaints have been submitted. So what I'm going to do for this is just go back to my home page. We're going to edit the home page. We'll scroll down. And what we'll do is we'll add a new section. So in fact, I'm just going to duplicate this section. I'm going to just get rid of these lists on here for now. I'm going to change this to be our complaint management. I change the background color as well, just so it's easy, so I can just quickly see that this is a different section. And then I'm going to add a list. So I need to add a list web part to this. So I'm just going to add a list web part, and it's going to be my complaints list. And then I'm just going to drag this up here. Now you can see, let's have a little bit of breathing room here. Drag it right to the very top. Now you can see we've got all the fields in here. So we've got all the different fields that we've got. And we don't necessarily need all of that. I think we probably just want to have a little cut down summary view of what's been going on. Probably just, for example, the title, the company name, and maybe the complaint type potentially. Might be a good thing just to see. So we just want to see a quick summary overview. We don't necessarily need to see all the kind of the details of it. And then we'll have some buttons on here which can take us to creating, well, I suppose we can create a new complaint directly from here. But we might want to, well, we've got the see all button. Yeah, we probably don't actually even need this, to be fair. We can probably just, actually no, because I was going to say we do want to go to the CRM, but I might just add a single button to be able to do that. So what I'll do is instead, I'm going to add a button web part, and I'm going to drag this up here, put this up here. We'll drag this list down a little bit. So obviously we've got quite a bit of room on here now. So let's move this over here, and then we'll call this open CRM. And what I need to do is just go to my CRM page just to get the URL and copy that URL, put this in here, maybe opening a new tab, and then we've got my complaints in here. Now what I think I will do is I think I will still have a bit of a cut down version of this complaints. I think that I think it's a bit much to have all of this on one thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to see all. I'm going to go and create a summary view. So from the drop down, I'm going to say save view as, and call it summary. And I think we probably want to cut some of this down. So things like the full description, we don't really want to see unless we are opening up the full item. Don't need the description. Don't need the contact name. Date reported would be useful. Don't need to see it was created by. Complaint type would be useful. Severity would be useful. Product would be useful. Assigned to, probably not so useful. So there we go. We'll cut this right down. Save a bit of space where we can. And then click on save view. So now when I go back to my home page, let's just go back to our home page and edit. Scroll all the way down here. Now we're going to change this view, basically just to try and save a bit of space. There we go. So we've still got a bit of a scroll bar going on here, but I'm hoping by the time I publish, we should have a bit more space back. There we go. So there is a bit of space, but we can actually see everything all on one page. I'll just double check that we've got everything pinned as far to the top as we can, just to save on any space. And there we go. I think that's probably as simple as we need it to be. We've got the full in terms of the QMS, we can see recent kind of complaints, where they're up to and that sort of thing. If we wanted to sort of drill into a bit more, as in an individual complaint, we can just open them up. If we wanted to create a new complaint, we can click on add new item to add a new complaint, which obviously we can tie back to the company and the contact and things like that. And then if we wanted to see almost like the full activity of what was going on with that complaint, we can jump in to open up the CRM system, select the customer that we're interested in, scroll down, and then we can see, say, full complaints for that customer, as well as any corrective actions which are taking place for that customer. The next thing I'm going to add to my QMS homepage section, the summary sections, is going to be for the change management system. Now, on a previous video, as I say, I built out this change management system, which looks a little bit like this. It's quite simplistic in the way that it works, that you basically, any change you put through the change control register via this new item form here. You can document the change type, what it relates to, who requested it, the department that will be impacted, affected. That will also basically trigger workflow that will contact the sort of relevant person from that department, documenting the change description, the reason for the change, the priority, the implementation date, as well as any attachments as well for that particular change. Following on from that, it would then automatically create one or multiple, potentially, depending on the category, change impact assessments. Again, this can be sort of created as new or opened up from here, and we can kind of see at a high level this form. Obviously, all these fields can be completely customized and configured to your requirements, whatever you need to capture as part of your change control. So if you did want to speak to us about getting this built, there's a link to a free consultation in the description below. Essentially, this is where we've got our impact assessment form. We can fill this out, and the reason why we built this as two separate lists is because there's a potential that there could be multiple change impact assessments per change control register. So essentially, each change impact assessment will actually be linked back to an item in the change register itself. Now, I think that potentially we don't need to go onto a full page to see this. We might actually just be able to get both of these lists onto our QMS homepage. So I'm thinking, let's basically recreate that at the bottom of this page. So if we go down, we're going to add a new section. In fact, I'm going to duplicate the section just to save a bit of time. I am going to change this, well, ironically change it to say it's going to be change management. And I'm going to change, I don't need a button, I don't think. I'm going to now make this a little bit smaller, duplicate it, because I want to have those two lists side by side, but I also want a little bit of space. In fact, let's just pin these right to the top, because it always adds a little bit of padding anyway. To the top. So I now need to change what list this web part is looking at. So I'm going to edit this properties. I'm going to change this to be our change control register. I always make this mistake. I don't click apply. Change control register, click on apply. Then it's changed to change control register. I'm saying change quite a lot. I'm realizing this. I'm going to change, again, I'm saying it again, this web part to be the impact assessment. Click on apply, and there we go. Now, compared to this, there is a little bit more. It's because I'm guessing I'm not using any summary views as part of this. So, I've already got a summary view built, nice and neat for me. I need to apply the same summary view to this. There we go. So there we go. So we've got something now cooking. And I think that's basically all we need really for this section. I'm going to publish it and just have a little look, see what it looks like. So if there's anything else, it's basically the same thing that we've got there. The only thing I've just realized I've not done is I need to update this to make it dynamic, so that actually it's going to filter the ID based on the change control register, the ID of the change control register, so that when I select, say for example, introduction of digital stuff, it is then filtering the change impact assessment. I'm also just going to bring this in a little bit. It will always add a bit of padding across the bottom as well. I'm also going to change the background color just so it stands out, something a bit different. Yeah, I quite like the look of that. And then click on republish. And there we go. And because we can add a new change control register item and we can add a change impact assessment from here, I don't think we need to go anywhere else. I mean, you could bounce people to a separate page if you wanted to add more information, or if you wanted to give it more space, if you want to have more columns, maybe you would have a separate page just so you could drill into it in a bit more detail. But I think realistically, that's all you would need for that change management piece.
Okay, so some of the final pieces then that I need to do, just going back to the top of the page again, you remember I don't actually have a header section for this page just yet. So I'm going to build that out. What I'm going to use for this, I have a new flexible section. I'm just going to delete that section for now. So this is going to be my kind of landing area. Now, what I'm thinking is I probably want to have some kind of background image or something like that I'm going to add in here, which is going to say it probably needs to represent a sort of manufacturing type of look, as usually these types of things are built for that type of thing. So let's just try this image for now, see how this looks. Let's change this background. Might take a couple of seconds just to load this. There we go. So we can see what this now looks like. Maybe slightly different gradients. I quite like the kind of the dark across the top. That image itself though, top to bottom, bottom to top might look a little bit better, or even left to right. Something like that maybe. In fact, actually I'm going to go bottom to top because I'm going to actually have some of my navigation actually across the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I want to what they call anchor links. So there's quite a lot on this page, but we've got like document control, trading tracker, non-conformance, audits, risk management, supplier management, complaints management, which is not right. So let's just change that. In fact, I just need to edit the page again. Oh, I'm on the wrong tab, that's why. There we go. So complaint management, or complaints, I should say. So basically all of these we want to have a quick access to get to. Now, I'm actually going to use this layout. So I'm going to duplicate this because I want to reuse it. And I'm going to drag it up to this area up here. And I'm going to drag it into this box. So I don't need a title. So I'm going to get rid of that. Just save a little bit of space. Maybe drag this down just a little bit. Now, a pretty cool effect that I seen the other day was that somebody put another section underneath that they made a dark color. Like so. No, I don't actually like that. I'm going to get rid of that. Sorry, jumping around quite a little bit. So maybe let's just bring this up a little bit, like that. And what I'm then going to do is add in a little bit of text. So I'm going to add in a text web part. And I'm going to drag this up here. And I'm going to make this a title. Welcome to QMS. Probably need to change the colors a little bit. Or do I want to just change the header type? No, let's change the color. So let's maybe go for, oops, I need to select the text first. Maybe let's try dark blue. Why didn't that work? Oh, it's highlight. Hang on. It's not liking that. Let's try. In fact, we're not even using that as a color. So maybe rather than it being a header, let's just make it normal. Make it, say, 28. And actually, we should probably go with a slightly different color, because we're going with these kind of light greens, this kind of SharePoint green. Maybe make it bold, make it a lot bigger. It's not standing out. Let's try some other colors. How else could we make this stand out? So you could always apply a highlight color, I guess. But yeah, that's not, doesn't look very good either. Maybe I just need to bring the text down a little bit so it stands out. It's a little, yeah, so it's a little bit better. And then I'm going to change the background and maybe see if I can actually make this fill. It's a lot. Whoa, it's too dark. So top to bottom, I need bottom to top. Or we do even need a welcome to, maybe just quality management system. Looks nice like that. And then what we're going to do is we need to change these links. So I'm just going to actually get rid of some of these links because we're not going to need all of these. And what we need to do is we actually need to grab the link of the anchor of the web part. So what I'm going to do is just scroll down. Oops, gone all the way to the bottom now. But you can see when you hover over one of these titles, it's got this like little hyperlink, this paperclip type thing. So we right click on that and copy it, just double check, but it should basically have the URL plus on top of it, basically like a hash and then the name of the title. So if I click on to add a link, paste it in, you can see it's got the hashtag document control. I'm going to click on add. I'm going to change this to document control. Obviously we would change the icon. Maybe this would be a folder. Then click on republish. I'm starting to not like this background image as well. I might change that, to be honest. It looks a little bit blurry to me. But so what happens is when you click on that, it will just jump you directly to that section. But now obviously we need to do that now for each of these areas. So what I'm going to do is just pause the video whilst I just grab all these URLs and put them into a notepad. So there we go. I've got all my URLs now, which has got the anchor at the end of them. So that's the training tracker. I just need to go back into edit mode now. and actually create all of these icons. So we're going to click on here. We're going to click on Add Link, From Link, Training Tracker. Maybe we change the icon. Maybe there's like an education, like a little university type hat. We've got a training tracker. We're going to add in our non-conformances. Like so. You get the message. So what I'm going to do is pause the video now just whilst I add all of these in. And there we go. So we've now added all of our buttons. I also changed the background image to be something that's a little less blurry. Still got that manufacturing kind of theme to it. And now I could literally jump to anywhere. So I can jump to, say, for example, my audits by clicking on the audits button, and it jumps me directly to that particular piece. If I want to go to my change management, it can just jump me directly to that part of the page. So rather than having to scroll all the way down, I can get access to those exact pieces. The final things that I most likely would want to do, just tidy up basically this navigation bar. It's far too messy now. I'd probably get rid of a lot of these things. So I'll just get rid of all of this, like so. Tidy all of that up. Like so. So I can just go to the home page of this. Other things I might want to do, so I might want to actually just change that sort of top navigation bar. I was going to change the logo, and I can also apply a couple of different colors as well, just to sort of polish this up a bit. So let's just change this header area up a little bit, neaten things up. So to do that, we click on the cog, we click on change the look, and we click on header. Then from there, we can choose what type, so whether we're on extended, standard. I mean, I would think we should go with something quite minimal, to be honest, because I'm not going to put a lot of links up here, because we've got quite a lot of links down here, and same goes up here. I'm going to keep this quite simple, so I'm going to keep the header quite small, and click on save. Then going back to the header design, I'm going to go back to change the look, header design, and I'm just going to see what it looks like with maybe some different colors. I think that looks quite nice. Yeah, I think that one works the best. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to add in just a little icon. So I'm going to add in the SharePoint icon in here, but you can add your company logo. So with the pop-up, you just change the image to your SharePoint or your customer, your company logo. And then once you're happy with that, just click on save, and that'll then apply the changes for you. So there we go, top to bottom, there's our QMS site. And as I say, this is something that's pre-built. So if you are interested in deploying this to your organization, there's a link in the description below to contact me and book in a free consultation to talk about how we could support your organization by building out your very own QMS system. Obviously, everything is completely configurable. We could build it to your exact requirements. But this is just a bit of an idea of the types of things you can achieve with SharePoint. If you enjoyed that video, please do subscribe. Also, continue to watch me build out a QMS in SharePoint by clicking on the video on the screen now. See you there.